Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. I really should talk to Paul to make sure I can call myself the conversion king when we learned about the snake man legal issues that he had. But thank you so much. Firstly, Ryan and Jen, thank you for putting on such a marvellous event. I've had the absolute pleasure of being with us all today, and it's just been spectacular to come down and hear the other speakers and learn what everyone else has got to share, and also meet all you lovely people as well. As mentioned, my name is Matthew Pezzimenti, and I'm a conversion rate good to know what you are, right? I'm a conversion rate expert. Good, take a note. And I've come from Brisbane, and I've come all the way down to Adelaide, and it's really exciting to be in Adelaide. And before I got here, I thought, you know what? I've only been to Adelaide once. I should do a little bit of research to find out about the place, to make sure I know what I'm getting into. And I found out that Adelaide, you might not know this, Adelaide has the highest rate of Italians per capita in all of Australia. It's great. Also, you would know that you guys are the wine, like on the global stage for wine, which is absolutely incredible. Which actually brings me to the first part of the conversation today, which is, how do we buy wine? And what I think is fascinating about wine is that our decision changes depending on where we are and what we're doing. So when we go to a restaurant, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little bit frugal. Again, I don't know if it's my Italian heritage, but we always want a good deal. But whenever I buy wine in a restaurant, I seem to always get the second cheapest wine. I don't know if you guys do the same, because obviously I don't want to look like I'm cheap, but I also want to make them feel like I'm making a good decision, right? I've got a bit of flex. But it does become a little bit different though when you go into the bottle shop, because in the bottle shop, you actually don't have the pressure of price. You don't have that social pressure of what am I going to choose and what is this person going to think of me? And price really isn't the big determining factor here. What is attracting me to these different bottles of wine? And it's interesting to think, which one out of those two wines do people typically choose? You've got one wine which is obviously looks very regal, very serious, and you've got one which is a little bit more playful. And what's interesting isn't so much the result, but what is interesting is the fact that design can change our behaviour. The choice that you'll make on that wine may have nothing to do with the way that wine was created or what's inside it. It's how we've perceived what we're about to purchase influences us to make a decision. And what's going to be fun today, I've got a lot of case studies of different brands that I've worked with here in Australia, some even in Adelaide, and all around the world. And I'm going to be bringing to you guys a lot of case studies of what we've done over the last 10 years of influencing people online, getting them to convert, and effectively making our clients richer, just rich people richer by what we do. So, let's get started. So one of the things that we do online, and we've spoken about a lot actually through the whole conference, and it was actually really interesting to hear Nash's presentation on how they do it in the ABC. And it's a really interesting story, and I don't know where you are, sorry if I can't see you on the screen, but in the stage, sorry, but that was actually one of the reasons that I got into conversion optimization was when I was over in Cambodia. I'm reading a book called The Tipping Point, and it talks about how Sesame Street would optimize their individual shows, those little skits, based on the responses they had from a very small controlled group of children. And I was in this rickety bus, and I'm reading this, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Imagine if we could do this digitally. And here we are. We're now at a world where we can present different experiences to people at the same time on the same website. And what we're looking at here is a test that we ran for a Australian-based retailer, and they were having a bit of a problem in the market. I've tried to make this as anonymous as possible, but you may guess who it is. And they were getting absolutely slaughtered in the market because of bad reviews. Something was happening, they had a little bad negative press. So the question was, is it better to have bad reviews on the website and show transparency and build trust, or to remove them completely? It's a good question. So let's play a little bit of a game. Let's see who's a smart one here in the room. Does anyone want to have a guess at which test was the most successful? Which one do we think actually produced the best results? Everyone who thinks option one, by showing reviews, even bad reviews, do you think that improved their conversion rate? If you want to put your hand up. Interesting. And people who said, look, just take the reviews off completely, that'll improve the conversion rate. Who thinks take them off? Okay. Oh, I didn't even tell you which one won. In this example, it actually was the one where we took the reviews off. And the reason being for that was because at this point in time, it was absolutely horrendous what was happening in the market for this particular retailer. And that enabled us to get through some really difficult sales periods with them. And then we did put the reviews back on once we came out of that sort of really challenging part to the part of the marketing, or part of the communication, sorry. So here we can see that we actually have changed something quite small on the website, and it's had a profound impact. Here's another one that we ran for a, what do you call them, a software, like an accounting software. Sorry, I've got so many clients, I sometimes forget which ones. Here we've got an option where we've got, we're trying to sign people up to an accounting software. And the message here is reckon, basics, $10. Really simple, sharp, easy, simple. The next one, if you can see, the subject line under that is manage your cash flow with Reckon. And the third one we've got, this one here, as you can see, when we tested it, it actually reduced conversions. It actually took them backwards. Sometimes we think when we're testing, we're always going forward, but actually, we're also stopping ourselves from going backwards. And in this example, you can see that we've tried out the basics, and now we've talked about cash flow, it's gone backwards. But then we tried it again, and we put here the basics, and we tried to talk about being relatable. This is for small business, and the impact was a 31% increase in conversions. This is phenomenal. This is just purely by connecting with the customer about what they really associate with. We can see that it's an important decision for them, and they want to be felt like we understand them. This is relatable for you. This is going to help you. And as you can see, we've had a great outcome. So why focus on conversion optimization? It's a really good question. Why should we even do this? What does it even matter? And for people who are looking into their P&Ls and their revenues and their profitability, let me show you a bit of a case study of how the numbers work out. Imagine you had 10,000 people going to your website in a month, and 1% of them, 100 people, made a purchase. And on average, they spent $120. They would have made $12,000 for that month. Now let's say you've got the exact same amount of people, 10,000 people going to the site, but instead of a 1% conversion rate, we go 1.5. Mind you, the rough average is around about 2%. So go 1.5. Still paying $120 per average order value. You can see they've now generated $18,000. And they haven't really had to spend any much more money, definitely not on spending more traffic. It's still all going there. We're just making a better use of it on the website. So effectively, we haven't spent any more money on top-line marketing. We've increased our conversion rate slightly, and we've got an additional $6,000 in our revenue, in our pocket, that we wouldn't have had if we didn't have that experience running. So the value of conversion rate optimization, apart from giving great experiences and help people come back, and there's a lot of great things about it, but at the end of the day, it's about how do I effectively and safely increase my revenue incrementally. This here is the formula on exactly how to do it. I love this formula. I love this formula for two reasons. One, it makes me look really smart because it looks complex. But the other reason I love it is actually quite simple when you break it down. And what I want to teach everyone today is actually the formula of how we think of conversions, so you guys can also think of it yourself. And whenever you're looking at an opportunity, you know exactly how to break it down. So let me share with you the actual formula that we use to convert people online. And mind you, this was actually developed by someone much smarter than me. His name's Flint McLaughlin out of the McLeod Institute out of Texas, America. So obviously I'm a big student of his. So the first thing we look at here in the formula, if C equals conversion, the first thing we've got to understand is the motivation of the user. What was it that brought them to the site? What were they looking to achieve? And that is super important. And you'll even see a number 4 right in front of the M. And that's to denote how important that is for a conversion. It's to understand the motivation of the person and why they're even coming to it. The next thing we look at is V, value. What is the value in which we're giving to these consumers? And they both connect. If the motivation that I have, let's say I'm trying to buy something, a gift from my child, and I'm not super organised, I've left it a little bit late, and I need to get it. The motivation I've got is I'm looking for something that can be delivered fast. So the value that the site can give me is fast delivery. But if I'm going to the site and I'm looking for something really special for my daughter, the value is very different. So that's why it's firstly important to understand why people are there so you can give them their appropriate value. The next thing we need to think about is how do we incentivize them to take an action? What are we actually doing to incentivize them? So in that example of shipping is my biggest thing, maybe a countdown timer of dispatch. Hey, you've got to get your order in the next 2 hours or you're going to miss the dispatch spot and you're not going to get your delivery the next day. The other part we look at is friction. How hard is it for the user to go through and do this? If I'm going through to add this thing to my cart and purchase it, and I've got one of those really great one-click checkout buttons that's connected to my Apple Pay. Fantastic, one click, done, I'm sorted. Easy done. How can we reduce the friction of people transacting with us? And this is the last one that many people overlook. And even though it's only got a little 2 in front of it, I actually think that's wrong. Talk to Flint about it. I think he needs to amend it. I feel the anxiety that we all have when we are going to make a purchase is some of the biggest conversion killers we have. They are the unspoken things that go through your mind when you're thinking of making a conversion. In my example there, my anxiety would be, if I buy this now, how can I be guaranteed to get it tomorrow? That's my biggest anxiety. And if I'm at that moment to convert, I'm at the moment to transact, if that level of anxiety hasn't been brought down to an acceptable level, you've lost the sale. So we need to understand what could be the things that could potentially stop my customers so we can raise that, solve that, and help them move forward. So this is what's called the McLab's conversion heuristic. Have a look at it. It is one thing that we use that really guides us through when we're looking at a problem on how to solve it. And what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to start giving you, some practical applications of how we've used it for many clients around the globe. So the first one I want to look at here is, this is for an Australian-based jewellery business. Now, I know you're probably thinking about to throw up on your table looking at this design. It's not the best design, but it is what it is. They obviously have a certain type of persona and branding that they're going for. And what we wanted to understand is this design that is so dominant, is that the best way to push promotions? Or can we, or should we, break it up with some more product-specific content to drive interactions? Did anybody want to have a guess at which one they thought was the winner and why? No? I was going to have a go? All right. Sorry, Matt, I don't have those fancy gifts like last time. But the interesting thing is, option 2 increased conversions by 26%. It's phenomenal. And really what it came down to was the amount of distraction we've got at that very first, the option 1. Where do I look? At this point in time, everything is so prominent, nothing is prominent. I don't know where to look, I'm overwhelmed. So what we use in design, sometimes we can push content to drive the user's eyes to somewhere else to get the action that we want. And as you can see in this scenario, it worked very well. This is a really interesting test, and it's one that uses a lot of persuasion principles, which we're going to dig in today as well. But I want to share with you this one. Oh, there's a little bit of an error there. But what we've got here is, this is a client, and obviously we've moved a few of the prices around to make it not look so obvious, that we've noticed that in store, they had a much higher average order value than online. And the reason for that was that when people are buying things in store, the salesperson has an opportunity to say, would you like anything else? What else can I get for you? What else would be relevant for this purchase? And the idea here was, can we emulate that online? So when people added something to cart, in this scenario, we gave them an instant pop-up which said, hey, how about all this new product? And guess what? That failed terribly. What happened was, every time that pop-up came, people closed it down instantly. Horrendous. Did not work. Can we improve it? Can we find a way to hack our behavior to get them to purchase? So we did something a little bit different. We used a persuasion principle called motivating the uncertainty, or motivation of the uncertainty. And what we did was, when they added something to cart, we had a little element on the top right come in there. Hey, get kitted out. I haven't broken their flow. I've got them curious, and now let's see what happens. They hit that get kitted out, and then we just presented the exact same pop-up we did in the first time. What was the impact? 24% in conversions. Crazy, right? Because what we did is we got them to engage, and then we were able to bring them through for a conversion. Sensational. So that's how we were able to build value there, because in the sense of these clients, this customer, they all want to look better than their friends. They want to look better than the next person. So the value we had here was about how we can help them look the best again. The next one is incentive, and this is actually a local Adelaide brand called the Udi. This is a really interesting brand, really made me double think my choices in life. I thought I was smart, but I'm not making 70 million bucks a year, am I? Oh gosh. So what do we have here? This is a highly promotional site. We're all very familiar with it, I'm sure. What we've put on this treatment is, if you can see in the very top right-hand corner, there's a small bell with a notification there. Again, we're curious. What is underneath that little bell there? What is there? So again, we're motivating them with that uncertainty. What we've got, when you click on it, you've got a drop down where you can apply a coupon to your transaction and check out. So what we've been able to do in there as well, some of the treatments not coming up on the screen there, but you'll see there's elements there around easy to add. You can't actually see it on the design, it's sort of fallen off. But one of the big things in there about reciprocity is we're trying to offer the customers something for free that they didn't actually expect, which is a coupon. And in that coupon, they're able to get a discount. And we're hoping that with this generosity we're giving you, you're going to be more inclined to make a purchase. Small change, small change. It had a small impact. There was only a 1.66% of increased transactions on mobile. Small impact. But for a business that has such large scale, in only a few days, they made an extra $25,000 just by having that element up on the site. So as we move through that heuristic, we get to friction. And again, my presentation might not be the best on the screen, but this is a really cool test. And I love this one. This is a test we did for Nespresso. And we work with Nespresso, not just here in Australia, but all over the world, which is really interesting because everyone consumes coffee differently. And this one actually won the Global Nespresso Award. The reason I love about this test, it was the easiest test I've ever done, because all we did was remove elements. We just deleted things. We looked at what wasn't absolutely necessary, and we just started pulling everything out. We completely cleaned out the entire flow, and a 1.51% increase in conversion rate for Nespresso globally is a substantial amount of revenue that being able to bring in purely by just removing things. So it's not even about always adding more, it's about making it really relevant and easy. And here we remove the friction. The next one we've got in here is about anxiety. And this is again another interesting test where we've got two options here. We've got one where we're trying to be really simple, succinct, get in and apply. And we've got another one where we're trying to educate a bit of the process. And the risk behind that is people might see that process is really long, but the risk on the other side is that people don't know what's going on, what's going to happen next. So we're using a persuasion principle, which was feed forward here in option 2, by communicating what would they expect to happen next. So we've had a 9.26% increase in conversions. Which one? It's option 2. We've brought information forward. We've given people the expectation when you click, this is what's going to happen, and you're able to convert that way. So again, we're able to understand what's holding these people back. Well, I don't know how long this process is going to take. Signing up for superannuation is not the funnest thing I've ever done in my life. How long is it going to be? And we can see option 2 worked exceptionally well. Again, my presentation is not super great, but I think I heard a comment today, it's better to be done than perfect, so we're kind of done today. But what I've got here is, I've actually got a guide where there's 175 of these persuasion principles that we've got available. Download it, use it, read it, learn it, and understand it. And when you understand these fundamentals, you're able to apply that to anything and scale your benefits. And what I wanted to show you, when you do go through, if you do go through to that QR code, you'll see this little form here. I'm a conversion expert. I've got things in there that I'm doing to try and get you to fill out this form, and I want to talk to you what that is. So the first thing I've done is about commitment and consistency principle, which I'm offering you something really simple, really easy, and potentially something free. It's completely free. So that's the first principle I'm currently using in this landing page or this experience to get you to convert. The next thing is I want to give you something for free in exchange for your contact details. So that's exactly what we're doing here. And a lot of times you go down to download a free ebook or give away something free on your website or a gift or something else. It's about, I'll give you something in exchange for you can give me something. And finally, it's just there's really removing any risk in the sense down the very bottom there, you might have anxieties going, oh my gosh, if I give Matt my details, he's going to spam me. So I know that. So I've popped a little message down there saying that, hey, no spam ever, pinky promise. It's also, because I'm probably not that organised to send out my email communication as I should. I need to talk to Ryan about that one. But yeah, so no spam either. But what we can see here with downloading this form is you'll get 175 persuasion principles. Check them out, and they're very, very helpful. So moving on, let's see how these persuasion principles can actually improve your conversion rates. And I've got some very different examples here, and hopefully they're a little bit relevant to yourselves, and you can take some of these concepts away and start applying them, or at least testing them in your own environment. So the first one we've got here is how do we sell really expensive cosmetics? This is a category I'm not very familiar in. I don't know. I'd spend nearly $900 on 12 millilitres of a serum. That's a lot of money. Has anyone ever bought any of this sort of stuff, just out of curiosity here? No? Yes, really interesting. So the question is, how can we sell this product using commitment and consistency? The actual key is not selling it at all. What we've got here is I don't want them to add to cart. I actually want them to add it to wish list. The reason I want them to add it to wish list is this now gives me a channel to continually communicate to that person about what I know they're interested in. So I'm going to send you emails on the deals, the specials, the related items, all the great things about using this serum, because I now know that it's in your wish list and I can keep continuing to communicate to you on that one. The next one we have is loss aversion. So one of these principles you would have in that download is loss aversion. How can we get people to feel like, oh, I really need to do this straight away or I'm going to lose the deal? I had a look online and I found this offer, which is about some wine. It's pretty good, right? It's $29. Can we make it better? Very simple. We put a very small asterisk next to the price and put a little message, limited time offer. We're adding a little bit more of intention to it. Can we get it even better? How about we say the price is only valid for 2 days, 4 hours and 23 minutes, and we have a very slow tick down timer on that one as well. So we can see that we can take a particular message, a discount message, and thinking about how we can maybe push that anxiety up in the customer, make them feel like they're going to lose this deal, and then we can use those messages to persuade them to act. The next one we've got is scarcity. Clearly I'm on a wine theme here. How can we make people feel like our product is more valuable by making it seem more scarce? Easy. Instead of us just removing products that sell out, let's leave them up there, grey them out, and just put the CTA, just sold out. The more items I'm going through and I'm seeing product I really like and I'm thinking, oh, geez, if I don't get it now, it's probably going to get sold out because look how busy it is. Look how many products are just instantly buying out. And you may have even seen a few other conversion tactics around where you go to buy something online and there's a little pop-up going, hey, 23 people in your area just purchased this. So again, we're using that same sort of methodology. Here is anchoring. Now, I don't know if anyone, I'm sure there's been a lot of people here who's proposed to get married. And this is for a company called Brilliant Earth over in America. And it's about how can we sell engagement rings? And how can we make them seem of a different quality? And what we're doing here is a tactic called anchoring. And what I'm doing is I'm positioning a product in the eyes of a customer and getting them to think of a particular price point. So then the next product I show to them, they're going to compare that product against the first one. So I actually can't see my little screen here, so I don't know which variation I'm looking at in the first one, if it's lower or higher. So if you can see that. Lower, higher, yeah, thank you. So you can see, thank you. So you can see in V1, we've put a lower priced product, and the Nadia there looks like the expensive one. Oh yeah, I want to make sure I do really good in this proposal, and we'll go the more expensive one. But if we wanted to make it feel a little bit more affordable, putting the other product beside it, which is like 6-7K, beside this other one, now it seems like a bit of a bargain, a bit cheap. Not cheap, but a bit more affordable. So depending on the value that people associate to the product, either one of these could work really well. People could be thinking that, I'll make sure I want to spend the most amount of money I can to show my love and affection. Or some people might be thinking, I need to be most cost effective. What's the cheapest way we can get out of this? Maybe not that bad, but so you can see that we can influence people's behavior by giving them different stimulus. This one's a really interesting one. This is what we call the decoy effect. And it's something that I do urge for you to use carefully because it can be really powerful, but could potentially get you in a little bit of trouble. You might have to run a little bit this through Paul. But we've got a deal here. It was typically $770. They've brought it down to $295. It's a pretty good deal. Can we make that deal seem better than what it is without changing it? So what we've got here is we've added what's called a decoy product. So underneath it, we've put a 6-pack of the wines, but instead of being at $24 a bottle, they're actually $41 a bottle. So you're effectively paying $250 for 6 or $295 for 12. Just by applying a product that we know no one in their right mind would ever buy, makes the product that we actually want to sell more attractive. Same way, if you want to make yourself feel better and look better and skinnier, just make sure you go hang out with fatter friends. It's very simple, very, very simple. So all this theory is great. And I've been doing digital marketing for 26 years, hence why I'm grey and old and whatever. Yeah, and this example, I've seen it so many times, especially when I'm on the other side of the fence. And other side of the desk, I should say, where you get sometimes these really cool ideas, but then what am I going to do with it? And then you get a bit stuck. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to walk you through how we do this. And I really want you guys to be able to understand it and take it away and try it. Give it a go. Just give it a go. Give it a go. So what we're talking about here is optimization. The first thing I share to everybody is this is a journey. When you get really good at optimization, it's great because you can really accelerate the revenues and profits in any business you work with. The millions and millions of dollars that we've increased our clients by is just astronomical. It is really crazy, but it took a while to get here. I've been doing this for 11 years. It's my only thing I do. It's 100% passion, but it's taken a while. So this being the journey, I want to share this analogy. It's a bit crude, but I think we'll get it. If you want to have a baby, us men, we can't go out and make 9 women pregnant and expect a baby in 1 month. It takes 9 months to have a baby. Sometimes things just take time, and you've got to go through the process. So there is absolute value in starting at the beginning and incrementally building your skills, getting more and more sophisticated as you go through. So we're going to start with analysis. So the first one here, as you can see, what a lot of you might be doing right now is I'm analysing my results. I'm checking my paid search campaigns every week. Thank you, Ryan. A bit of a reminder to do that. I'm analysing and I'm making slight adjustments. You started optimising your experience. Then we move into simple A/B testing. One variation against the other. This against that. Content versus this content. This experience against that experience. Then we move into what we call this segmentation. And segmentation is, maybe I need to run an experience just for people in Adelaide here, which is a bit different to people over in Victoria. We're segmenting 2 really big groups, or 2 groups of people, 2 identified groups of people. Segmentation. Sometimes it does get a bit confused with personalisation, but let's just keep it at segmentation. Then we move over to one-to-one. This is where we start doing personalisation. And there's a number of different personalisations as well. And Visha, I loved your presentation on this. First one is behavioural. So we're going to personalise based on what people interact with on a website. Good example of that is what we found works really well is when people go to a product display page and they're trying to buy an apparel. And let's say the lady's there and she puts in her size and she's size 10. And she goes back to the product listing page where she's got all the products to choose from. Doing behavioural-based personalisation, what we do is we then exclude any of those products in that PLP page that are out of stock, that aren't in her size 10. So making sure that anything that she's looking at on PLP is actually in size 10, in stock. And if it's not, don't even show it. So we can actually listen to what people are doing online, and then we can change that experience dynamically. And when she comes back, we can make sure that we're always serving up to her product that is in size 10 in stock so she can make that conversion. Then we get a little bit deeper. Then we might start looking at what she purchased previously and what she's more likely to purchase now that we know that what she's done previously. And that's where we start talking about this predictive personalisation. So they bought one thing, what's the next thing that you're potentially going to buy? Really interesting with Nespresso, actually. When people go to buy Nespresso, it's actually not the coffee they buy first. Nothing to do with the coffee, even though they think that's what it is. It's the machine. We sell the machine first. When people come to the homepage of Nespresso and we know they're not a user, what we're promoting to them is machines. We need to get them excited about the machines. They get into that, woo, and then they move into the coffee. So let's jump in and let's get started. So the first thing that we like to do is we need to understand, where is the problem? Where on our website are people struggling, and why are they not converting? So what we've got up on the screen here is a very simple report that gets pulled out of analytics that breaks down a particular performance of a website. So I'm through what we're actually seeing on the screen. So the very first thing that's highlighted there is sessions. And in this example, this client, they did 10 million sessions over the 12 months. They had a bounce rate of 29%. And what that means is, even though they had 10 million sessions, there was only 7 million active sessions on the website. The other ones just left. So we shouldn't really worry too much about that 10 million, it's more that 7 million now. They're the ones that we can now convert. They're the ones engaging with us. The next thing we had in this example is that only 8% of people added to cart, which meant that there was nearly bit over 500,000 sessions where someone had found a product that they really love and added it to cart. So we've gone from 10 million to now around about 600,000 opportunities. Of those 600,000 that added to cart intentions, so think even in a physical store, they've taken something off the rack, only 41% or 244 started the checkout process. That's crazy. Could you imagine seeing everyone walk into a physical store, hold product, pick out what they really love, and then just jump it on the floor and walk out? You don't. That's incredible, 44%. Only 41% start. And of those people who started, 52% exited the checkout process. So now we're left with just over 100,000 transactions. So we've gone from 10 million to 100,000, which gave them the conversion rate of 1.15. Everyone asked me, what's the average conversion rate? And I know there's no such thing as averages, but I'll give it to you anyway. Roughly what we should be looking at around here is about at least 2.5% conversion rate for this particular client in their industry as well. So you can see we're a little bit below the 8 ball here. On average, they spent $130, which gave them 15 mil. So what happens now that we identified some of the big critical issues? So the big critical issue for me in this funnel is the checkout starts. I've done all this work to drive the right people to my website. They've found the right product. They've even added it to cart, and then they've just disappeared. That rate there, they're at 41%. The industry average to checkout starts is 60%. They're well underneath it. So let's put a target. Let's just say they get their add to cart rate to 50%, so just a little bit up. That would net them an additional $3.2 million at the end of the year. They haven't spent any more money on marketing. They've just improved the way that people go through their funnel and convert better. They could buy themselves a Bugatti with that amount of money just at the end of the year. It's incredible. So let's get into it of how we can actually do it. So once we know where the problem is, so in this scenario, the problem is people starting the checkout, not finding the product, but starting the checkout. So how can we understand the why? Why are they not doing it? And what I'm showing up on the screen here are our quantitative and qualitative tactics of really understanding the why. Now, you know when we talked before about how it's better to do something than to be perfect? Much the same as with my presentation, because I had these lovely little screens coming up here as well, but I've kind of kerfuffled that in my deck. So I'm going to have to explain it a little bit here. But what we've got there that we're seeing across the screen, these are all the different tactics we take to actually understand the why people are not converting. So let's run back a little bit to help. So the first thing we want to know is the reason why they're not converting. Is it a technical issue? Has something broken on the website? And you'd be surprised how many times that is the case. I was working with a client literally last week. Ring me, Maddie. Hey, we have this database, 170,000. We sent an email out, 22 transactions. What happened? What happened? And if anyone has sent an email for 170,000 people, you know that's a big send. The issue was they just implemented live chat. And the live chat feature was covering up the checkout button. How frustrating that is, right? Technical issue. The next one is analytics. We need to have the right data to make the right decisions. Do we even have the right data? Is our analytics truthful and correct? The next thing we need to understand is how big this problem really is, and that's where we look at baselining. Let's compare that problem to either ourselves or to the industry to know whether or not we should focus on it. And then that previous example, you saw where I said, oh, that add to cart, that checkout start, that's really low. So we know that that's potentially the area to look into. And the next part there is user journey. So it's understanding is how did that person get to that problem and where do we want them to go? So it's understanding where exactly in that funnel they're falling out and why. And then we get to the UX fundamentals, UX and UI fundamentals. And there's a lot of things that actually can stop people from converting just by the way that you're presenting the different hierarchy of content, the hierarchy of imagery, everything that can really affect whether or not someone converts. And then we jump into search and merch. Did they find the right product or have we merchandised it correctly? But here is where the rubber hits the road. These are more the qualitative tactics that are really going to pull out the whys. Why did that person not continue the checkout process? So the survey and NPS is a great one to do. We love to send a survey to customers to understand the real critical questions. And I can share with you guys the 4 questions that we ask that extracts the most amount of information in the fastest possible way and will give you the best responses to know what to do to help. And it's simply this. The first question you want to ask your customer is, what was it that brought you to the website? What was your motivation? Now, if you go into a non-purchasing segment, you would then go, what was it that stopped you from making a purchase? And they'll tell you directly. The next question you want to ask is, what could have I done to help you purchase? And finally, what's your biggest question about buying this particular product online? Leave it all open-ended, and your customers, the non-purchasers, will tell exactly, I came to the website looking for this product. What stopped me was that I didn't find the right product, it wasn't on the right size, I didn't understand the pricing, I didn't know the delivery, shipping option. That's maybe what stopped them. What would have encouraged you to do it? Simpler checkout process, better merchandising, they'll tell you. And what's your biggest question around purchasing this product? Might be, how do I deal with returns? So now you've got active information that you can now apply to the design. So I'm going to jump over here and show another example how we can take this and implement it and what it really means in the real world. So here we've got a brand. I've tried to error it out. And I've moved a few of the numbers around to make it nice and able to show. But what we've got here on the right-hand side is we've added to cart 5 items, totaling $105.60. But actually, it's a discounted price because the total price is really $186. But you'll see in the very top corner where I've highlighted that they've said 5 items, $105.60. The question is, if we were to show that to people, what would be the conversion rate? Or what would happen if we started using one of those persuasion principles, the loss aversion? And we also presented this was the was price of your total cart, and this is now the total price of your cart, showing that opportunity. Or the next one, again, could be around, I really want it, I want it fast, great. Well, guess what? You get free click and collect. Which one of those messages is really going to help a customer make a decision? So in this scenario, we've got 300,000 people going to the site in this 1 month. 100,000 of those users had the experience that whenever they added something to cart, irrespective of discount, they go and apply, it would just show that price as it is there. The second variation is we'll show them the was price and now the was price and now the is price. And on the third one, we show the delivery message. 1, 2, 3. So again, how did they perform? Variation 1, 2.1% conversion rate, generated $168,000 worth of revenue. It's not bad. Number 2, 3.4% conversion rate, $344,000. Variation 3, we actually went backwards. 1.8% conversion rate, $144,000. The drop in variation 3, whilst not ideal, we learnt that maybe delivery isn't important as discounting. So what does that really mean? For this retailer, it meant that just for that 33% of their traffic, they made an extra $176,000. And I don't know about you guys, but that's a lot of money. Like, you could literally buy yourself a brand new Land Rover in the month just by changing that experience. It is just mind-blowing. And when you see this data coming down every time you're running these experiments, you get hooked and you think, how much more money can we make for them? This is something that's not done by just a few. This is done by most of the major retailers, and I know it because actually I do it for them. And these are some of the results that we're getting. It's just absolutely incredible. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing that I've learnt that none of you here don't know. All I do is I follow the process that I've shared with you guys today. I've followed the methodologies of how, like the understanding of the fundamentals, the principles, and I've been able to apply it and get these exceptional results. And everyone here can do the same. But I want to help. I really, really want to help, and it's a genuine need. Oh, I haven't got to it yet. So the quick takeaways here is firstly, users can be influenced to take whatever action you want. You just need to understand what is the motivator, what is going to make them change their behavior, and then just lean on it. We've got that conversion heuristic. It is so powerful when you just slow down, start to use it and really pull it apart. You can really solve many, many problems. The persuasion principles we have, that's the theory to enable you to scale these methodologies across any experience, across any platform. It's a journey, take time, don't get frustrated. I know it's a little bit the Dunning-Kruger effect where you get a little bit of skills and you think you can go to the whole world and you finally get a little bit disappointed because it gets a bit hard. It's a journey. Take the process, take the learnings, and you will get better. And most importantly, start with data. Understand where the problems are and then focus on that. And what I wanted to share with you, everybody today, and this is what I wanted to give everybody, is that one of the things that we can do is that we can hook into your analytics and we can pull the data out of the analytics and we can present it in this visualized format where you've got your funnel running down the left-hand side, which is going for everything from entering the website all the way through all those funnel metrics. And you can see on the one screen there where we'll obviously be able to baseline how you're performing across every single one of those metrics. And then month on month, going back for 6 months, we'll start to be able to put in trend lines. So what we're able to see there is not only we can tell you instantly where your challenges of your websites are, but we can also tell you the trends of potentially what's coming up. The other benefit to this is we also break it up for you between user devices, so mobile, desktop. Is there a different experience? Is there a different problem on mobile than there is on desktop, and where is it? What about users? You've got returning customers and you've got yet to purchase users. Did you notice the difference? That's not new and returning. It's first time, like yet to purchase and returning customers. It's really important, really important. If someone's not made a purchase from you just yet, you know, like it's, I don't know what the theme is here, but you can't go into a bar and ask a lady to marry you straight away. You've got to at least say, hello, my name is Matt, you know, nice to meet you. And much the same with this here. You can't go and try and expect someone's going to put a massive big order. We've got to get them in one little sale first, and then we can start selling more and more and more. Very different experience. And then finally, it's about channel. So is it the organic channel that's working really well? Is it your paid search that needs more attention? Is your email working really well? Or where are the problems coming from them? So what we've got there, if you are interested, by clicking on the QR code, just putting your details in there, we can connect up with you and we'll be able to run this for you completely for free. And what this will do, again, as I mentioned, will tell you exactly where you need to start focusing to start improving your revenue, profitability, and conversion rate on the website. I like this quote. It's a nice way to end the presentation today. But I also want to end with that optimization has really transformed many businesses we've worked with. And yes, we've made some incredible improvements in companies, absolutely, no doubt. But also what we've done, we've saved them lots of money and heartache. And what I'm meaning by that is we're not just about improving, making more and more and more, but it's like, is this actually going to help the customers? And now we have an opportunity to get that direct feedback before we apply it and move forward. Thank you all very much for your time and attention today. I've enjoyed speaking to you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to come and grab me afterwards. I'm more than happy to share what I know with you all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matthew. I've had a couple of questions. Sam, can we just get the Matthew's slide back up with the, yep, perfect. Slido, so there's the Slido QR code. So if you've got any more questions, feel free to scan the QR code and jump on there. This one came through. What are your thoughts on adding scarcity messaging, like it's almost sold out or 5 left, 3 left, purely as a conversion tactic when supply isn't actually low?
We need to always have a high level of integrity of what we do, but we're testing, right? We're trying to understand from a customer behaviour, would that influence their decision or not? So my opinion on that is absolutely. Let's definitely test it. Let's definitely understand what the impact of that level of urgency has on our conversion. Whether or not we use it to go forward with as a complete fix to the website, or if it's something that we might use incrementally, or we actually just expose that part of our business, is something that we can actually do. But the benefit there is to first test it, understand what the impact is going to be, and then you can start making your mind on whether or not that's worth the challenge of implementation.
And what are the legalities around that? Is it a free-for-all or?
Well, it's very difficult because the realities around stock level, and again, you know, Paul would be the best person to ask on this one, but because it's about stock levels is different to price. What we can't do is you can't say, like a rug salesman, you notice how they're not around anymore? Hey, this rug was like $5,000 and now it's only $200. You can't do that unless you've previously sold it at $5,000. That's where you'll get into a bit of a legal issue. I was at an event the other day and I was speaking to this one brand, you probably will know as we start talking about the history of it, and they had a return policy in text just listed on their website, which meant that, hey, if you bought this product and you didn't like it, we'll exchange it. That's what the return policy was. That actually broke the consumer law because you need to be able to offer a refund if it's not the right product. They got sued, I think they ended up, it started at about $26 million. They got sued from the body that obviously looks after all that, and they ended up negotiating it down to $6 million because they had that one little message on the side.
This question is, if you have a global brand with such varying conversion rates, so it might be 2% in Australia, but 6% in the US, for example, when you're rolling out those changes, are you rolling it out everywhere, or do you just kind of focus on the countries that need the improvement? How do you kind of prioritise that?
That's a great question. And that's where, you know, diplomacy, this is where I might need a bit of Dom's help to try and ease the tension in some of the rooms. But what we look at there, and this comes down to segmentation. You might have a certain experience in, like in Australia, than you do in New Zealand. I know that I can sell gold really easily in Australia. I can't sell gold in New Zealand. I can sell silver. So if I'm doing an experience to promote more gold, it's not going to work in New Zealand. So you have to have a very different experience. Then you have to weigh up between the operational cost of having two different experiences over the improved conversion rate.
If I had a set budget and I want to increase the revenue on my website, what should I look at first? Spending that money to drive more people to the website, or spending that same money to improve conversion on the website? What's going to be the most effective?
Yeah, it comes down to where's your problem. Do we have a traffic problem? Like we don't have enough of the right audience coming to the website? Or we've got the right people, but we're not communicating to them effectively. We're not motivating them, we're not showing them the value, we're not incentivizing them, there's too much friction, they get too much anxiety. So it's really about where is the problem. That's why that data piece is so awesome, because it tells you straight away, do I have a traffic problem? Do I have an inner funnel problem? Or do I have a conversion issue?
Well, seeing as we're on reporting, this one comes from Amy Hurrigan, who's actually on the Power Hour panel later this afternoon. How are you finding Google Analytics 4 for e-commerce? And what report from Universal Analytics were you saddest to lose?
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. For me, GA4 poses no problems, no risks. I have a full data team that takes care of all that issue for me.
Lucky.
I tell you what though, what the hell, Google?
Yeah, right?
Like,
Is anyone like Google Analytics 4, even after all this time and now you don't even have your legacy data anymore?
Well,
Does anyone like GA4?
I actually do.
Oh,
I do.
if you got a data team to set it up for you, sure.
Well, you're exactly right. Just, But one of the reports that, oh, wow. Well, there's no conversions anymore in GA4, which is a real interesting one. That's the one that is really interesting. Second page path, again, I think we've got struggles trying to get that out. There is a plethora of challenges. Whenever you go to do what you think is easy to do, which was in GA3, it just seems to just be that little bit of a different process in GA4. But it's like if you move from PC to Mac, you just got to give yourself into the experience and just go, okay, this is what I'm doing right now. I've got to just really lean into it.
All right, controversial question time. What are your thoughts on the conversion techniques that Temu uses? If you've used the app, it's like everything you've talked about today, all rolled into one on steroids.
Yeah.
Like they go hard. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, look, it's depending on the perspective you're looking at it from. If I own Temu and I'm sitting there and I want to buy myself a new Lamborghini, oh, this is great, keep doing it, awesome, it's fantastic. If I'm the consumer and I'm just getting really irritated with it, obviously I'm going to start giving my feedback by my behavior. The tactics will start to slow down and not work, but they're still doing it, right? Which means it works. Which means they're going to keep doing it because they're making money. So it's a bit of an interesting one.
Addictive. The gamification of it is addictive. I've been sucked in.
I've never done. I've been too scared. I'm thinking my credit card's going to go.
Who's bought from Temu? Hands up who you bought from Temu.
Oh, wow.
Did you spin the wheel to get a discount?
Every time it comes up in the middle of my free games that I'm already playing on my mobile, it's just irritating. So disruptive.
Can I ask
Go ahead.
those spin the wheels, does anyone believe it? Do you know it's a gimmick? Or does anyone believe that it's doing it, you're actually getting a... No? Oh, just
On that note of believing things, are the tactics always true? Someone's asked, for example, when it says 34 people are looking at this product or it's just sold out, how true is that?
It can be true, but it also can be completely false. There are some legitimate technologies that do exactly that.
And is that legal?
I refer all legal questions to Paul Gordon.
Turn the cameras off.
I don't know about that one. I don't
That's
know
a
about
Paul
that one.
Gordon question. Okay.
I guess a good fundamental thing is that everything really does need to be based in truth. Because if you are scamming and stealing, you're trying all these really sleazy little tactics, that's a representation of your brand and your personal values of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And before I started Conversion Kings, I was in advertising and blah, 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 blah. And I was really unfulfilled. I was making great money, but I was really unfulfilled. And what I found so enlightening about running this business and optimization is I can choose how I want to behave based on my own personal values and principles. And that comes through all the work I do as well. So I know we've got some moral and ethic questions here, but I think at the end of the day, it comes down to your own core values and how is that going to truly represent the brand to have a consistent positioning in the market.
So I think this question's come from a B2B marketer. What types of strategies would work better for a non-e-commerce business, for example, a service business, rather than a product?
Yeah, well, again, it comes down to your sales funnel of exactly how you're trying to get those people through. And back to that bar example, it's not about sometimes getting that sale straight away. Sometimes it's about a slow level of interaction, such as, hey, download a very free ebook of 175 persuasion principles. Go start it, right? And then what happens is you'll start building a relationship or connection with that person, maybe through email, through LinkedIn, or even through lookalike audiences. Then you can start sending different types of information or pushing them back into like something else, which is maybe a demonstration. So it really comes down into what is your sales funnel on-site and off-site.
And on that note, do you have any literature or online resources that we can share with people to get started on the journey?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It just depends on where people want to start from. In my experience doing these chats, it's always a bit difficult because you've got different levels of understanding in the market. You've got really, really, really advanced, and you've got people just starting the journey as well. So it really does come down to where you're kicking off from. If you're just wanting to get started in CRO, I've actually got a free guide. I can just flick it out to everybody. It's just really the 101, the basics of how to do CRO. But yeah, happy to share.
Question from the audience. Over to Michael.
So I went and popped my name down for a Gmail address and didn't come through. I tried it on the work one, still hasn't come through. I'm just wondering if that's part of like the anticipation tactic to try and generate extra interest, so I'm really hanging out for it.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah, no.
And I'm being like,
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. It wasn't intentional. It was one of the ones that got to be better to be done than perfect. But the other reason is we actually decided not to send the email until after my talk. But I didn't get time to update my developer to say, hey, could you just update that copy on the website for me, just to let him know that's going to happen? Oh, mate, the expectations are up here. But but no, I intentionally did it just so I thought it'd be better for people to concentrate.
Right. Thank you so much.
you're
Great
welcome.
presentation, Matt. Just got something. No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I had one
No,
more
I don't.
question, Ed.
That's a conversion joke. Come on.
I had one more question.
Forget it.
I
All
had
right.
one more
It's the end of the
question.
day.
Thanks
I
very
tried.
Hey, Ed.
Thank you
I had
very
one
much,
more- I have one more question.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, is that okay? Can I ask it? I mean, we've got another 5, easy. Last question, Matt. Can you tell us about the tech stacks you're using to do all this amazing stuff?
Yes, okay, let's start. All right, so firstly, looking in at analytics, GA4 is kind of like the bee's knees. And GA4 is important because a lot of our other tools will integrate with GA4 and it becomes a source of truth. Now, depending on what technology people use, I mean, do most people here use GA4 or Google Analytics? Oh, wow, so pretty much all of us, right? So what we do is we make sure that GA4 is working really well. The next part is you're going to walk into your diagnosis tools, which is understanding why people aren't doing what they're doing. So customer surveys, SurveyMonkey, these sorts of tools are really easy to use. You've got things like session recording tools like Hotjar, where you're able to watch people on live on the website. We all know that, and we all use those tools, which is pretty cool, a little bit creepy, but it's kind of fun. So Hotjar is amazing. It's really affordable, and you can really ramp up your services with that, like your Full Story. If anyone's used Full Story before, Full Story is amazing. It gives you rage clicks and dead clicks and error clicks, so you can see where people are raging on your website. Other tech stack, when you jump into testing platforms, this is when it gets really interesting. And you've got pure testing platforms, such as like your VWO, your Optimizely's. They all do a bit of personalization. But then you've got things like A/B Tasty, which is a mixture of everything. You've got Insiders, you've got Dynamic Yield, are all different types of tools and techs. I actually got a download of over 21 different tools. If you're interested, I could flick that out as well.
And that, I think, that basically covers it. Thank you so much, Matthew, for presenting.
Awesome stuff.
It's amazing,
Loved it.
as always.